77 WABC and Bergen Newbridge Medical Center honor the life of legendary broadcaster and our friend, Ernie Anastas.
Hi, it's Ernie Anastas. You know, your thoughts can affect how you feel. Bergen Newbridge Medical Center is the largest hospital in New Jersey, providing comprehensive, equitable, compassionate, and high-quality emergency inpatient and outpatient medical care, plus mental health services and substance use disorder treatment. The Bergen Newbridge team can address your total health needs in one convenient location. Call 201-225-7130 for an appointment or newbridgehealth.org.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
With Alex Traiman sitting right in front of me, mayor of Tel Aviv or Jerusalem sounds kind of nice.
That sounds good.
They have those?
Absolutely.
How is the mayor in Jerusalem where you live and work? Is he a good guy? Or?
He's a pretty good guy. He's a very strong executive. He has a lot of executive experience.
He does?
And he runs the city really well, and that's why infrastructure is going up all over the city.
It is, right? I think I've met him, actually. What's his name again?
Mayor Moshe Leon.
I met him. I met Moshe Leon. I think I met him at your summit.
That's right.
Which is coming up in about a month. Yeah, I did notice that last time I was in Israel. They talk about building and Katzmatidis. He's got buildings in Coney Island in Brooklyn. He's got this gorgeous new building in St. Petersburg, Florida. But, John, you want to be smart. Take a look at Israel these days because, you know, despite all the bombing, and they've knocked down a whole bunch of stuff in Tel Aviv, the bad guys, there is new stuff going up every day all over the country, right?
Everywhere you look on the skyline of Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, you see cranes. The national bird of Israel is the crane.
Is that true?
Buildings are going but buildings are going up everywhere in Israel.
That should. It's an unbelievable place. You're not going to convince an anti-Semite it's a great place, but if you're not an anti-Semite, and even if you're not Jewish, the Christian population loves it there. I keep saying to people, my friend did a tremendous job, David Friedman, in Nassau County. He was a great ambassador to Israel. They got the Abraham Accords done with him. But there's a reason why Mike Huckabee is that guy now. He's not Jewish. He's Christian. And he's doing a spectacular job as well. I think you'd agree to that. But the Christian population, which is large in numbers, that live in Israel, they love it too.
That's the only place in the Middle East that Christian life flourishes. If I actually took you to Jerusalem and you didn't know anything about the place, you didn't know anything about Israel, anything about the people that live there.
You did that about 3 years ago.
Right. But if I drove you around the city or I flew you over the city and I asked you to tell me what's the religion of this city, well, you would see all the churches, the cathedrals, the monasteries. You would say this is probably a Christian city. That's how powerful
I've seen it, yes.
Right.
Yeah, that's how powerful that
the Christian presence is in the city.
Right, exactly. And everybody gets along. Everybody lives nicely together.
No problems.
Right, well, except for the Palestinians. Not just Hamas. I know I make a lot of people angry, but the Palestinians. And I always say to people who remark about this relationship between the Arabs and the Jews, when you do it from Staten Island, when you do it from Brooklyn, when you do it from Tennessee, it means nothing to me. You have to go. I've experienced the dynamic. I've walked through the Muslim markets, right, by the wall, by the Western Wall. I've seen Ava and Gabriel cry because some Palestinian, not Hamas, Palestinian gave me the evil eye because I was wearing an Israel shirt. So you live amongst these people every day. So when people say, listen, before you start going on and on about these beautiful, innocent Palestinians, you may want to know a little something about what's really gone on for the last 80 years, right?
These are people that grew up. When I moved to Israel back in 2004, there was a show on Palestinian television that was a Mickey Mouse character, and they canceled the show. And in the last episode of the show, the Mickey Mouse character became a suicide bomber.
Stop it.
I'm serious.
The Mickey Mouse character was wearing a suicide vest?
Became a suicide bomber and became a martyr, right? This is, there are Palestinian kids, like in Gaza and elsewhere, they go to summer camps where they stage like October 7th, like attacks, and they film that. And you could just go to the Palestinian Media Watch website and you go see it for yourself. I'm not making this stuff up.
No, you're not. And the adults talking about running these camps, they were doing that in Gaza for months leading up to October 7th. That's why, to this day, there's still a lot of people that are upset with Bibi because it happened and they were kind of doing it right out in the open. They would be doing these exercises in Gaza, and I guess the Israelis thought, okay, they've been doing that for a while. It's not really going to happen. But as far as I know, Alex, they were doing these exercises right out in the open.
Well, there's a fundamental change now in Israel. We allowed this to happen. We allowed force posture to build up right in our backyards, as if people just hoped that they would never attack. But what do you think they were going to do with those rockets, with those missiles? But now the situation in Israel is totally different, and Israel's not going to permit it anymore. Israel is emerging as a strong force that protects its citizens after the horrific mistake, the massacre of October 7th. And I think you're going to see Israel just really, really thrive in this region.
Bibi was coming under fire quite a bit early on for that. I don't really hear a lot about that anymore. First it was that, then it was the hostages, The people who love Bibi like me, and I love him, or Trump, he loves him, we have zero issue complimenting Netanyahu. But for people that don't like him, they'll find something new just about every day. I say people have no idea how lucky we are to have Trump and Bibi in charge for America and Israel. This really is the golden age. There's never been a better 1-2 combination. People talk about Harry Truman. No, folks, no. I'm sorry, Bill. He ain't no President Trump. This is the best 1-2 combination for our two countries ever. Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. If I would have told you on October 8th, that 2.5 years after the worst massacre in modern Israeli history, that Israel would control 50% of the Gaza Strip, that Yahya Sinwar would be dead, Mohammed Deif dead, Hamas wouldn't have any more rockets, that Israel would control all the territory up to the Litani River in Lebanon, that Hassan Nasrallah would be dead, that his number 2, Fuad Shukr, would be dead, that the whole mid-level command of Hezbollah would be taken out in this grand beeper episode, that Hezbollah would no longer have tens of thousands of rockets to destroy Israel, that Bashar Assad would no longer be the president of Syria, that Ali Khamenei would no longer be the supreme leader in Iran, and every single one of their nuclear facilities would be hit. And then on top of that, every single last one of the hostages living and dead would be home. Everybody would have signed up for that result, and that's due to the war leadership of Prime Minister Netanyahu together working with the President of the United States, Donald Trump.
Right, I'm glad you're right. Oh, because the last guy was I told you from October 8th on, that guy Biden was no good. I do want to talk about the war, though, in Iran. You guys must be keeping a very close eye on Trump and Xi in China. China yesterday, there was a conversation between Xi and Trump, which he talked about the willingness from China. This is unbelievable. This is huge news, Alex. The willingness from China to buy oil from us, oil and gas from America. At that point, they don't have to rely on Iran, supply Iran with weapons, give them money for some of those terror proxies, because let's face it, Iran was the country that funded all of it. Hamas in Gaza, the Houthis coming out of Yemen, Hezbollah in Lebanon. It was all Iran. It was all Iran. So what you really want to see here is China move closer to America, and maybe they'll take Russia with them and kind of leave Iran all by themselves. That's great for your country.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, China was basically evading sanctions because Iran was selling them oil at a discount. And I think President Trump, he's brilliant, and he's looking at the global chessboard where he sees China on the other side of the chessboard, and he sees Iran as one of the bishops on the map. So he understands Trump. He's trying to set up an alternative trade route to the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative. It's called the IMEC corridor, India, Middle East, European Economic Corridor, to bring goods through, eventually through also Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel, use the Haifa port as a major hub, then to transfer goods over to Europe and the West. And so Trump understands that in order to establish that, you got to quiet down the Middle East. So you have to take out Iran and this entire network of regional proxies, and then bring all the other players, which include the Saudis, includes Qatar, includes Turkey, over into the American orbit. Because if you don't have them in the American orbit, where do they go? They go into the Chinese orbit. So Trump is playing a massive 4D chess game here.
He really is.
With China.
Alex Traiman, the CEO of JNS.org, and I see you about as much in New York as I do in Israel the last couple of years. I see you here quite a bit. If I would have said to you, Traiman, 10 years ago, think about this. This is nuts. That a Jew would be safer walking, forget about Israel, at any one of about 5 Middle East countries, that a Jew would be safer walking there in the Middle East than Europe, London, or New York, you would have said what?
Crazy.
Crazy.
But that's the situation. You can go to the United Arab Emirates, you can go to Bahrain, you can go to Morocco, and walk around and, feel good. You can go to Azerbaijan. Jews, Israelis are going over there, but you go to Paris, you go to London.
They kill you. They just killed too much Jews in London last week.